Hello, fellow old schoolers. Now, me and the missus have recovered quite a bit from this COVID-19. Thank you so much for the messages from you guys. Pretty heartwarming. I've been missing out on a ton of fun. There's been several online tournaments that I've been not been well enough to attend, but we're slowly crawling back into it here. And for this match, I've hooked up with my pal from Old Boy Electric Eels. Jens Ole is his name, and he's the guy that plays the Smash-Atog archetype. He's been featuring on this channel a bunch of times, and this is the first time in like a month that we've had a real-life game here. So it was great fun, and great to get back in the saddle, so to speak. His particular deck is, I'll go over it in a bit. He has played it quite successfully in a bunch of tournaments, and I think in the first Long Island Cup he was on this channel, and I lost to him in the finals. So I think that was the last match we had on this channel, actually. So this is kind of a rematch. I've got an axe to grind here, I suppose. So it's a brutal setup. Let's go over it, and hi you guys. So here is Jens Ole's Smash-Atog in its newest iteration. And if you want to skip these deck techs, if these are not your thing, I've put down a timestamp here below. So you can just go to that particular timestamp and for the first match. As for the rest of us, this is the deck. If you look at the top right corner, that's his creature base. He's got the full playset of Atogs and 3 Sushis, who along with the full playset of Mistress Factory will provide him with his creature aggression. And his other route to victory is the 4 black whites in the top left corner, and he also has a lot of burn. Namely 4 lightning bolts, 3 chain lightnings, and 3 sonic blasts. As for the Atogs, there's a bunch of stuff to feed them with. He's fully powered with 5 Moxen and a Black Lotus. And there's also the Black Vices that can be fed into it once the opponent has gone out of the range of where the Black Vices will do damage to him. Also 3 Anks of Misra and a couple of City in a Bottle. And this is actually, I think it's a meta thing, because there's a lot of Arabian Nights cards in the tournaments we attend lately. And having 2 main deck City in a Bottle is perhaps a bit extreme. But it works wonders for him, because he has a bit of difficulties in removing Juice Engines, for example, as he doesn't have Source to Plowshares. But those City in a Bottle, they'll work just fine. Blocking the opponent out, and they can also work against Serendip Freets, Flying Men, and stuff like that. There's the added benefit of the lock between the Anks of Misra and the Black Vices in the top left corner. That'll make sure that the opponent will do damage if he doesn't put down any cards, but he'll also take damage if he puts down a land. So it becomes apparent that this entire deck is bleeding the opponent of life all the time, trying to rush him down and get him within burn range for all the burn spells. The second win con, I mean, apart from pinging the other guy with all the bolts and sonic blasts and black vices, is what the deck takes its name from, namely Smash-Atog, and it's feeding the Atog a bunch of artifacts and then making use of that green splash that's in the deck, namely those 2 Berserks. That'll make the Atog go full-on trample mode and seal the game through that. Going to the sideboard here, he's making even more use of green with those Hurricanes and the Avoid Fates, and he'll tend to sideboard those in if he's up against Source to Plowshares or Terrors, stuff that can destroy the Atog after it goes bananas, because that's his key weakness, that he'll lose a lot of cards that way if he has sacked a lot of artifacts to the attack and he just straight up kills it with a Sword to Plowshare. So an Avoid Fate here will work wonders in making sure there's a kill. Detonate, even more damage. Control magic against big beaters that he can't easily handle otherwise. The red and the blue blasts needs no introduction. They're just very, very good against a lot of tier 1 decks in the format. And there's that Hercule's Recall, and there's a bunch of tricks you can do with that. First of all, you can make all the other guys' artifacts go up to his hand, and that's brutal when there's a couple of black rises against him. You can also use them when you or the opponent plays a draw 7, like a Wheel of Fortune or a Time Twister. Just as a response, putting all the Moxen back into the hand of the opponent, all his artifacts, and he'll have to shuffle them back into his deck if it's a Time Twister, or they could just go straight to the graveyard if it's a Wheel of Fortune. And he does play with both Wheel of Fortune and Time Twister in this deck. And finally, you can use the Hercule's Recall as a response. If someone tries to remove your artifact, you can just put it back into your hand and make the removal card fizzle. And yeah, you can just play it again the following round. And another thing worth mentioning here is that he has a very, very low mana curve, which means that he can have a slightly fewer mana sources in his deck. I think he has about 25 on this picture. So the usual decks will have about 27, 26, something like that. And the deck will have even more. So this gives him a slight soft card advantage, as he will tend to draw non-land cards in the mid-game just slightly more often than most opponents, and he can work just fine with very, very few mana sources, as most of his burn and most of his spells in general are about 1 to 2 mana. There's only those Sushis and Sonic Blasts that and I suppose the Time Twister that are slightly more expensive. So yeah, very, very slick and fast little devil here. Let's go to the Composition A, its opponent. And Composition A started out like mono black archetype, and has just slowly evolved over the years to include more and more splashes. So it's now a 5-colored deck. And in the top row, we see its method to do damage. It's a mixture between a combo Dreams deck and a straight up mid-range aggro, with 4 Hypnotic Spectres, 4 Jusum Djinns, and a single Singia Vampire as a top curve drop. And obviously there's the 4 Factories as well. There's 3 Underworld Dreams, and the deck can get some burn effects with these in combination with the Wheel of Fortune and Time Twist. There's a lot of removal in the deck with 4 Swords to Plowshares, 4 Disenchants, 3 Sinkholes, and 2 Lightning Bolts. And the bolts are seldom used to burn the other guy out. It's a more removal tactic in order to like babysit the Jusum Djinn so that it can get in and touch base. As the Jusum Djinn does damage to its owner, it has to make the kill rather fast, and it's really annoying when you have like Maces of Ith or Jump Blockers just to hold it off indefinitely, as it doesn't fly like the Serendipity Freak does. So small critters can get in its way. So that's why there's a lot of removal here, just to make way for the creatures. The mana base has been made so that every dual land and City of Brass obviously can produce black mana. So in essence, it's like still like a mono black deck, in that it can play those Underworld Dreams pretty consistently, as every mana is a swamp along with some other color. And the sideboard options in this iteration has the 3 red blasts and 2 blue blasts against many of the more common tier 1 archetypes in the format. There's 3 Sushis, and they can be boarded in after the first match. If I fear that my Jusum Djinns will get blocked by City in a Bottle after sideboard, the Sushis can just tag team and get into the deck instead of the Jusum Djinns. They also work well against Abyss, as the Abyss can't target the Sushis, and they work well against Blood Moon, as they can be played during a Blood Moon. And if I'm feeling particularly frisky, I can just sideboard the Sushis in on top of all the other creatures, and I'll have a lot more aggro type of deck that can provide a lot of early pressure against control and also tangle with pure aggro decks, so I have more blockers and creatures to fight off an aggro strategy. There are 2 Shatters and 2 Divine Offerings against artifact decks, and of these, obviously the Divine Offerings are the superior choice. But if I sideboard too much white in, it will skew the mana base, so as we only have so much splash color mana available, so the 2 Shatters are there as an extra option. There's also 2 Minerals Discs. I'm not sure if they should still be in the deck, but they're usually boarded in against Blood Moons, as they can be played even though all my lands has become mountains, just to get rid of the Blood Moon. Or that, combined with the 2 blue Elemental Blasts and the 4 Disenchants, is the first line of defense against a Blood Moon, and there's all, obviously the Sushis as well. So that's the deck as in its current iteration. There are many ways to tweak it. I think perhaps a balance is called for, but I'm still experimenting with this setup. So yeah, this is the matchup. I think two pretty solid decks, and while not being the most typical tournament archetypes, both do pack a punch. So let's see what will happen. And here we go, round number 1 with Smash-Atog on the left here. We have a roll-off for who's going to start. And he's on the play, and that's pretty brutal, because he is a lot stronger on the play because of all those black wises. And there's an Ancestral Recall here. Neat little trick, playing the Ancestral Recall before he commits to his land drop, as the Mox is a free play here. He knows he'll play it to get the Ancestral out, and now he can just consider what to do. Volcanic Island coming out, okay. Okay, so I have a Library of Alexandria turn 1, and this is usually very, very good, but it's a real dilemma here because there's all those black wises. I take a bit of a chance here and draw with it immediately because I have a Black Lotus, and I want to get that out because I'm fearing a draw 7. And back when we played at the last tournament, as far as I remember, he didn't have any shatters or anything that could threaten that Lotus. So, yeah. Yeah, I remembered that. He did have a shatter here. That's very, very annoying. Cracking the Lotus so early. At least there's no black wises, so I can still write that library. And I gotta use it as much as I can, but it's dangerous. I need the mana out fast. Playing a scrubland here in order to pose a threat to that factory. I can now Swords to Plowshare or Disenchant it if needs be, if he attacks with it, because I have access to the white mana. Okay, first Atog hitting the table here, and an Ankh of Mishra. Yeah, he's sufficiently mana fixed at this point. He won't be needing to play many more lands, or any more lands almost. And he knows that it'll put the hurt on me because I'm barely getting started here. All my cards are in hand. At least I drew into a Mox here, and then I'm using that library at his end step. And now I'm using it in my main phase here because I need to put stuff out. Need something to try to hold his creature aggression back. Okay, sinkholing the factory. That's 1 down. That's good because it poses a threat and it can be munched by that Atog. At the moment the Atog can do 5 points of damage if he eats the Mox and the Ankh of Mishra. And I'm tapped out. But it will cost him if he does so. Still, I'm very, very afraid of a black wise here. I think I still have about 6 cards in hand. I want to use that Library of Alexandria as much as I can. Okay, here comes the nasty little fella, biting a chunk out of my leg. Luckily he doesn't grow. He has a Sol Ring. Oh, and a Sushi. That's a lot of pressure. Just exploding now. And the attack can do 9 points of damage. So if he has a green mana and a Berserk, that's game. Unless I have a Swords to Plowshare or something here. So it just goes to show it can really go fast with those attack decks. Let's see what we can make happen here. At least there's no Black Wise yet. I've been very, very lucky that he hasn't drawn any of the 4 Black Wises at this point. After an Ancestral Recall and this late in the game. Okay, taking even more damage, putting down the Badlands. Okay, getting down a Singular Vampire, tapping out completely. I need something to... I don't know if I want to block the Sushi or want to block the attack. The Sushi will at least be able to trade. Yeah, I'm doing that. It's very, very dangerous actually, but okay. Yeah, he considered whether he can eat the Sushi with the attack, and he can do that, but then the Sushi won't do any damage to my Vampire. So he elects to just trade with the Vampire, put down another Sushi, and still hold back with that attack, not eating everything just yet. I'm at 14 points of life here, and the situation is getting really desperate. Next turn it'll be 11 points of damage if he eats his artifacts. So yeah, still no Black Wises, so I need to get some blockers out here. Okay, taking 2 points of damage more from that Anger of Mithra just to get a factory out. I have a Mox untapped and a Badlands untapped, and I can activate the factory and the Hypnotic Spectre. Just trying to buy time here. I'm securing more and more card advantage, even though he had that Ancestral Recall in the beginning, just because of that library. So just need to survive here. Okay, seems I'm double blocking the Sushi here, trying to take it with me. Yeah, but then I'm looking over everything, and yeah, if I do that, that attack will just go absolutely berserk. So eating all the artifacts and killing me outright. Yes, I think it's a Black Wise yes out there. Okay, so I block one of each, and he eats use the Mox with the attack and kills my factory and my Spectra. And after the block, I use the final mana to bolt the Sushi. It has now taken 2 points of damage from that Hypnotic Spectre and can be killed by a bolt. So at least there's that. Trying to hold him back here, and he lost a bunch of artifacts here. So that attack is slightly less scary at this point, but I am only at 12 points of life, and I'm now below Library of Alexandria range. I can't keep riding that library because I need to commit to the board at this point. Otherwise, I'll die. Okay, regrowthing here. That's the new card in the deck, and I think, yeah, I'm regrowthing the Singular Vampire. There wasn't a lot of useful cards here, but I need something big to block that attack again. And I have enough mana to block it again with the factory, and each time it forces him to eat an artifact. And I know I'm losing a creature, but what can you do? I just need to survive the early game here. He needs to seal the deal now. And if he is forced to eat an artifact each turn, at least that attack can't make that big push later on, because he'll have depleted his resources. So he attacks here. I block, and he bolts my factory and then eats a bunch of artifacts. 2 artifacts doing 5 points of damage. I'm at 5 points of life. Then he bolts me. I'm at 2 points of life and wheels. That is a very, very risky play. So he takes 7 points of damage here from that Underworld Dreams. But I suppose that he has so much life that he reckons that he can just make it happen here. Here's his hand: Sonic Blast, Black Wise, Anger of Mist, Time Twister, 2 more Black Wises and a Time Walk. Not a single mana though. He could have... Yeah, here's my hand. What's that? Strip Mine, Mox Jet, Saucer Plage, Ancestor Recall, Lightning Bolt, Juice and Gin, and Wheel of Fortune. Okay. So he needs to pass the turn here. I'm very, very lucky that he didn't draw a land. Otherwise, he could have played a Black Wise, and I would have to remove that in my upkeep, and I don't think I can here. Okay, so strip mining his Volcanic Island. Then I'm casting Ancestral Recall on him. It's a very rare play. So, yeah, look at that. Just pulling out a victory from the jaws of defeat here with an Ancestral Recall on him. Putting him down to 6 points of life, and then I could just Wheel of Fortune straight after that. And the Underworld Dreams will kill him. That's 10 points of damage in one go. I did have a Lightning Bolt as well, but as I only had the single Badlands, I didn't have enough red mana to bolt him and cast Wheel of Fortune. But luckily I had that Ancestor Recall to put the nail in the coffin here instead of the bolt. I'm not sure if it was deserved. I think he could have won actually if he had eaten that Sol Ring in the attack. I'm not sure if he could. But I was at 2 points of life here, so yeah, a sneaky win. Very, very lucky. This is round number 2 against this very fast Atog deck. Let's see what happens here. And this time I'm on the play, and we're not playing with sideboards yet. We had a bunch of games with sideboard after this one, and I'll upload those at a later date. Here's my hand. Ancestor Recall, Chaos Orb, Library of Alexandria again. Some sort of Mox, a Badlands, an Underground Sea, and a Factory. That's a solid hand. Very, very vulnerable to Black Wises though. Here's his hand. Has the Black Wise and a Mox, Shatter, and Distant Strip Mine, and a bunch of lands. Yeah, so not a lot of tempo in that, but not a lot of creature aggression, I mean, but he can... Oh, okay, he's mulliganing. That's too many lands for his deck, yeah. He could have played the Black Wise, Strip Mine, a land, and then Shatter any artifact mana and just hope for something to happen here. It would actually have been a pretty nice hand against me, I think. Could have Strip Mined perhaps a library, Shadow the Mox, and pressure move with that Black Wise. Against him, I like to sideboard my Library of Alexandria out, actually. Here's his hand. Another Black Wise. Oh, man. Factory, Island, Chain Lightning, Shatter, and a Tiger, and a Tuck. So, yeah, that Library of Alexandria, unless I can remove... He's putting his island at the bottom of his library. Unless I can remove the Black Wise early, it'll lock me out of that Library of Alexandria here. Yeah, and he's on the play, obviously. So, yeah, that's the library. Reading here, I think that might be a mistake, actually. It's very greedy, trying to get the Mox out. I think my thought process here is just, okay, I'll take the damage early on and just use a tempo to just get out, but he stops me right here, just shattering the Sapphire immediately. So we have a Chaos Orb against the Black Wise now. Now I can make it happen. But he top decks the second Shatter in the deck. That's all he has. Now this is not very good at all. I can't get rid of that Black Wise unless I get a Disenchant and a white mana. Sinkholing one of his factories though, taking a bunch of damage here from that Black Wise. I'm at 12 points of life, and my plan was here to get rid of the Black Wise with the Chaos Orb and now use the Ancestral Recall to draw myself back into the library range and write that. This is a totally different situation though, as he could protect his Black Wise with all those shadows. Now here he comes with a factory, so I'm at 10 points of life here, and we've barely begun. Make that 7 points of life. Oh man. And now 6 points of life because of the Black Wise. Have 5 cards in hand here. Here's the Juice and Gin. Very, very risky, but I need to do it. He does damage to me, but at least it can block the factory, and I can just, yeah. And I'm at 5 points of life here. I'm pretty soon I'll be within bolt range. Because of the Juice and Gin. I think I'm out of range of the black wise though, so at least there's that, but I need to work fast here. Strip mining his factory, that's very good. He eats it with the Atog, so the Atog is now a 3/4 creature. So I attack with the Juicing Gen. I need to kill him before he draws a bolt. So it might look very aggressive, and it is. It's a Hail Mary. He can now attack with the Atog and probably remove my factory, but I need to do this. I can't wait. So I'm blocking him. Yeah, okay, so he does what I said. He was killing me with the Atog there. That's my hand. The Ancestral Recall never saw play. That black wise just stopped me straight out. Good hand though, but completely picked apart by those black wises. Couldn't make use of the draw power here, so that's 1-1 from Smash-Atog and between Smash-Atog and the Composition A. This is a third and deciding round between these matches without the sideboard. As said, after this particular recording, I'll put up some games where we have just sideboarded our usual stuff in against each other. But we have both tweaked our decks quite a bit since last time we met, and at this point I'm not sure whether he put in his Blood Moons. Here's my hand though. Okay, Mind Twist, Sinkhole, Hypnotic Spectre, Black Lotus, Mox Pearl, and a Badlands. I think there was another land perhaps. That's a very, very good hand. Again. Here's his hand. Another black wise, Sonic Blast, Volcanic Island, Factory, City in a Bottle, Ank of Mithra, and a Regrowth. It's a good hand as well. But as he's not on the play, those black wises are slightly less useful for him. Especially considering my hand, as I can just explode with the Mox and the Lotus turn 1. Obviously. Oh yeah, and I was a bit confused before. It isn't. We haven't sideboarded yet. We'll do that later. Yeah, so that's the turn 1 Black Lotus for 4 cards here. Yeah, just taking these. Okay, Factory, Ank of Mithra, Regrowth, and the Black Wise. Didn't mind the Black Wise at this point because I have used a lot of cards myself. I think I have 3 cards in hand. So we're both depleted, but this is, yeah, sinkholing his land is the age-old trick I like to do after hitting the opponent's hand early, trying to rob him of his mana sources, because he might be mana starved from this, because the Mind Twist took one of his lands as well. But it's very, very hard to box him in, as he doesn't need that much mana. So I tutor here after putting out a Sol Ring, and he puts down a Mox Pearl. Still can't play anything though. So here we go, the Juicing Gen, and I actually tutored for that. Doesn't matter. That's a City in a Bubble. Nice draw. He started with that. That's the island though. Okay, following up with the Hypnotic Spectre. I wanted to crack his red mana out so he couldn't bolt it, but I can't box him in here. His spells are too cheap. So Chain Lightning the Hypnotic Spectre. It's fine. Those are very, very lucky draws for him, I gotta say. But the life expectancy of those Hypnotic Spectres are not very long against this particular deck because of all those bolts. Okay, there's the attack. Haven't even done any damage to him yet. Here's the Hypnotic Spectre, second one coming out. And I remember after tutoring for that I tutored for the Juicing Gen actually, just to finish the game. And when after he had played that Seed in a Bottle, I just drew straight into another Juicing Gen, and I can't play it now because I can't remove that Seed in a Bottle. Okay, Sonic Blasting the Hypnotic Spectre here. I need a Disenchant or something. Just waiting for that at the moment. Just another Spectre coming out. At least the other one was kind of expensive for him, but yeah, I'm Chain Lightning it out and just coming in with the attack. Single point of damage. It's fine. It's that City in a Bottle. We need to get rid of it. Okay, there we go. Disenchanting it. Yeah, he eats it with the attack just for good measure. he's really considering something here. I think he drew a Shatter. Yep, he did. Okay, Shattering the Pearl in order to kick me out of white mana, so I can't Source to Plowshare his Atog. Actually, I feared that he would shatter my Sol Ring here because I'm a bit mana starved. I only have the 2 Badlands, so I wouldn't be able to play the Juicemjin as a follow-up to that Disenchanter on the Seed in the Bottle if he had shattered my Sol Ring. But now it's possible, so there's a cow, and he attacks here. He has 1 card in hand, so yeah, it's a given. It must be a Sonic Blast, so I'll let it in, and then I just counter-attack with the Juicemjin. And there's an Untitled Dreams. So he'll likely untap now and then block the Juicemjin and Sonic Blast it, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. It's a 2-for-1, and I can't hold back with the Juicemjin as it will continue to do damage against me, and I can't really afford that against a deck like this. He'll do too much damage to me too fast. Yeah, so here I come. He blocks with the Atog. Eats a Pearl. Okay, eats a Pearl and then bolts it. Okay, so he didn't have a Sonic Blast, but he could eat the Mox and then bolt it. That's the same. Okay, second Untitled Dreams coming out here. Really putting the hurt on him now. It's at 10 points of life. There's an Anchor of Mishra. Bit risky here. The 2 Dreams against him, but he must be feeling rather confident that he can outbolt me. And I mean, he can. He has a way more burn than I do, but with 2 Dreams out, whoa, okay, 3 Dreams out. Yeah, it's really brutal. A single Ancestral Recall on him now would be 9 points of damage. 21 points of damage if I could play a 7. Calling him out just needs to hold him back for a bit here. Yeah, and then the Dreams finish him. So yeah, great set, this one. The Composition A took it 2-1. It's a single game actually, the Composition A won as well, that we didn't get recorded from these, but I think these are very, very enjoyable matches, this particular matchup, because they're so evenly matched. It really just depends on the luck of the draw and the day when we play. Though I get the feeling that when I lose against this particular archetype, it's like getting hit with a truck. You'll barely get started, and then you'll be at half life, and then you'll be dead. But it seems that if I can survive the early game, there's a pretty good chance to make a comeback, and makes for some really, really enjoyable matches, I think. Anyway, that was the first set between us, but we have a bunch of more games here. Let's go to another recording that's coming up, where we have sideboarded a bunch of stuff in against each other just to see how it works. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.